Hi, everyone. Welcome to Live with Blayne J, your weekly connection to people, brands, and businesses. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I want to give a big shout out to the Real Ish Radio founder and producer, Rodney Hughes, who designed my t-shirt, which says, I support Real Ish Radio. You can kind of see it here. Thank you so much for my t-shirt, Rodney. I appreciate you. And today, that kind of puts me into our guest, which is Kristian Patterson. She is also a podcaster on Real Ish Radio. She has a show called Transparency Place. She is also a certified life coach. So I want to bring her on so we can get into exactly what is a life coach, which was the first question I asked her yesterday, and also talk about her weekly show right here on Real Ish Radio. So Chris, we're ready for you.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So Chris and I know each other because, like I said, we are both podcasters here on Real Ish Radio. And what's so crazy is you're probably the first guest I've never actually met in person. I feel like I've met all my guests in person. But I had decided from before that me and her are we girls, we homies.
We out here.
So I'm super excited to have you on. And like I said, let's go into the life coaching, because I've had life coaches on here before. I've spoken to them, but that was like the first question I asked you is like, what exactly is a life coach? So, because it sounds so good. Like, it sounds like you just help people do stuff. So let us know exactly what you do as a life coach.
Okay, I was going to say, to start, what is a life coach? The general question is, I think every life coach's passion or purpose or mission is different, but we partner with our clients to accomplish goals for the most part and hold them accountable. What I do, I consider myself, I guess, a motivational or an empowerment coach. That's what I would consider myself. So I work with my clients to create their ideal or their best life. I want you to live your life to the fullest potential. So we want to figure out how to do that. So one of my first questions is, what would you do if you couldn't fail? If you had no limits, nothing stopping you, what would you do? Let's take a moment. Let's close our eyes. Let's imagine. Let's visualize. So let's put a vision in front of us. And then after you tell me that, I want to know, why aren't you doing it? What are the real blocks?
Love that question. What would you do if you could not fail? Like, I have to take a minute because I don't even know, because there's always, because what could you do if you wouldn't fail means there's no plan B. It means you're telling people, like, what is your plan A, and you need to just execute that.
So a lot of us can't do plan A because we put up these blocks. So I work with you to overcome those blocks and make a plan to move forward to overcome those. So we're dealing with the root of the issue, the root of that block. Why is that block there? Now, how can we overcome it? What can we do to eliminate that block? So it's a series of questions, a series of accountability, and it's a series of fun. I like to have fun in this because I feel like if you're not enjoying your life, you're not living it, right? So that's what it's all about. That's what I do as a coach.
And how do you think your clients respond? Because, like, you threw that question at me and I'm kind of thinking, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do. So I'm thinking, if you're working with somebody over a period of time and you're asking multiple questions, like, do you see the growth and the change in them? Do their eyes just like, oh my God, this is like that emoji with the head popping out? Is it like, oh my God?
Sometimes they don't like me.
Because you get them to think.
I'll rip that question. Okay, that feels good. Let me think about this. Oh, wow, I got this vision. And then I'm like, okay, now you have to work at it. So when I launched my business, it was called Let's Work Coaching. Absolutely nothing works unless you work at it. So we are progressively working at what it is that you want to do. And the part of working, a lot of people don't like that part.
Because that's the work. That's the real work.
And then at the end of it, when they finally see the progress, or they start to have, so let's say short-term goals, when those short-term goals start getting accomplished, okay, I want to talk to you more. We need to figure out how I can get to this next step. So yes, they're excited on that part. But when I actually require you and I'm looking for you to dive into yourself, or I'm looking for you to do X, Y, and Z, no, they don't like me. But who really likes their coach? Come on.
You make people work. Like, I had a guest on several weeks ago, Lamont Leftenant. He's a financial coach. And so part of what he does is, like, we talk about my financial goals, but then he also ties it into, like, what will this make you feel if you have this freedom? What will this do? And that's a lot of work, because I'm like, I don't know. I just know I'm going to get rid of this debt. And I know that I want you to tell me how to do this. And am I within a budget? But when you really start doing the work of, like, okay, this is what this means, and this is what it will do for my life, and this is what it will make me feel. Sometimes your dreams scare you because it's like, what if I do this? What if I accomplish this that I thought I wouldn't?
But that's living life.
Mm-hmm,
that's living life.
mm-hmm.
Like if we don't have that accountability, or you don't have that partner to push you past those limits, you're stagnant. You're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting people out of that stagnant and stuck area. And I listened to that Lamont show, and I tagged so many people, and yeah, he's on him.
You said sometimes they don't like you. That's how I feel sometimes. I like him, but sometimes like when he really kind of presses me about stuff, I'm like, so can we move on? Like there's like 5 other spreadsheets for us to go through. Because you don't want to
deal with the reality. Mm-hmm. This is your reality. This is your truth. Now let's do something about it. Either you're going to continue to live that way and it's not really working for you, or you're going to do the work to make the change to get where you ideally want to be. Because you have a vision for yourself.
Yeah, we all do, hopefully, for the most part. But you kind of like you have this life coaching business, and I'm sure that it takes a lot out of you personally because you're trying to help people get their life together. And sometimes our lives are not always perfect, right? Because you're a wife, you're a mom, you work full time, you're an active sister, you're an active daughter, you have all these other things. So what does it take for you to kind of like step outside your own personal life to be like, I may have a million things going on, but I'm here to help and focus with this person. What do you have to do to kind of prepare to do that?
Breathe, focus, and release myself from everything else. When I'm your coach, I'm your coach. I can't be the mom at that time. So that's why it's important for my kids to go X, Y, and Z during that time. Or, I have to release myself from those duties and focus on what I was hired to do. Going back to my business plan, my own personal mission, what I decided this was going to be when I took on this role. So I just released myself from that and focus on you. It does take preparation before going in. So ideally what I really do before I have a session with a client, I'm sitting there going back over their paperwork, their documents, what they wrote down. I'm taking my breath to prepare myself. And again, releasing myself from my life so that I can take on your life. Because one thing I don't want to do is bring my life into your circumstance. So I need to be open and available to you and to support you and to guide you. Yes, we can speak from my experience, but ideally I want to focus the plan that we have on you and your success.
And so with your life coaching business, that kind of got you into podcasting, which got you into the show that you have now, Transparency Place, because you take a lot of your real life experiences, events, and your life coaching, and you now bring that to a weekly show right here on Realish Radio. So let us know exactly how that came to play for you to launch Transparency Place.
How did that come to play? Okay, I have a heart for people. I have a heart that I want people to, again, live their best life, find and create a life of fulfillment. I don't want you to just be existing in life. I think my whole family is really big on, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right? So I have that passion for people. So the podcast is not the first thing, or the life coaching is not the first thing. This all started from a blog. I start writing. Then I'm talking to my coworker, like, I have to do something. Like, I want to help people. And she was like, you should become a life coach. So then I looked into it. I'm like, this is in alignment with my everyday living. So then my brother starts this podcast thing, and I'm like, I can do a show. I can help people that route. So this is another way of me extending myself to help people. I want to have those conversations that are kind of uncomfortable, but they're common. Like, a lot of us go through a lot of the same situations. We handle them differently. There's no right or wrong way, but I want to give you the tools that has helped someone else or that has helped me. So a lot of the conversations that I'm having, and the reason it's called the Transparency Place, honestly, I woke up in the middle of the night and it was me by myself, and I started recording myself just talking, and it was my transparent moment. So the first episode ever on the podcast is me talking to myself. It was when I realized in that moment that I'm not good talking to myself. Well, let me say this. It's not that I'm not good. I talk to myself all the time. I think who better to talk to than yourself?
We all do. And you answer back sometimes. I know I answer back sometimes. So yeah.
So I'm talking to myself, and I think I got bullet points in my head. So, and also on the side note, I talk to myself professionally. Like, my job is me talking to myself. I make videos for people to learn how to use the system. That's what my job is. So I'm like, I could just make a podcast of me talking and giving you these bullet points. But then I went back and listened to it. I'm like, that's boring. This conversation is boring. I want to have fun while I do this. So I'm like, I told my brother, I'm like, I realized I do better having a conversation with someone. So then I was like, I'm just going to start pulling people off these topics and we're just going to have conversations. So I kind of randomly select people. And we have conversations about, again, common situations or common topics, but then we tell how we've overcome them or different tools or resources that we've used to do it. And most times, though, a lot of my guests don't even know that I'm pulling tools or resources from them as they're sharing their story.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're all impacting or helping to build a stronger individual, a more confident individual, a loving individual. Ideally, those are the type of characteristics that people want to see in themselves, or they need to see in themselves in order to propel in society, is the way I see it.
And you have a lot of real topics. Your show, your podcast talks about relationships. It talks about family, children. I mean, there's a variety of topics that you touch on. And I told you, I watch your show and I'm in the comments sometimes and I stop myself because I'm just like, I'm about to spill all the business and be like, so now what happens if this and that? Like, I almost have to pull myself back because it's really good to hear you be so transparent, like the name of the show, and your guests to be so open and willing to share their stories. So out of everything that you've talked about, what is the topic so far that you think you were just like, this is it. This is like a really good topic. I need to even revisit this topic again on my show at a later date.
Oh my gosh, there were so many.
You've had some amazing shows. You've had some really amazing shows right here on Realish Radio. And I just want everybody to know, so when they tune in, they understand, like, you want to talk about relationships, you want to talk about friendships, like it's all here for you.
Every show leaves me with something that wants to come back more. It's like, oh, I really want to talk about that. I really want to dive more into it. Mm. I'm going to say, oh, that was a good question, Blayne. I don't know.
Because you made a good statement about what could you do if life was limitless or you had no limits or something. So I had to hit you with something good.
Limits, man. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Okay, look, the show that I love so many of them.
Well, no, your last show was really good. I think it was with the two guys, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm. I'm thinking that's the show. It's between that or the Insecurity show.
Mm-hmm.
That or the Insecurity show. So last week, it was me and two guy friends, and we were talking about the transition from single to married, or the difference in being married. A lot in our culture, in the African American culture, we don't really get to see married couples, right? So then we get into marriage and we're like, wait a minute, hold on. How do I do this? I just thought my mama be single and bad all by herself. Mm-hmm. How do I really become interdependent and work in this situation? But a real trigger point in that conversation was talking about the emotions of men. And now, because how men hide emotions, they don't really express their true emotions. How are you raising your son now? Or how are you raising the men in your community? Or how are you communicating with men in the community? Are you opening, as a man, are you opening the doors for them to express their emotions because you realize something's not right? But are you creating an environment where the man can be open? And that right there, that itself is a topic. But that wasn't the topic we started on. But when we hit that point there, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. We going somewhere. This is good. So that one triggered some more thinking and some more conversation that should and could happen in the future of the transparency place. Like, I want men to be just as vulnerable and open as most women are. And I don't know if that.
No, I think there's something about, I don't know what it is, but I feel like people come on your show and whether they're ready or not, it's like truth serum comes out and they start just talking and sharing. It's something that happens when they come on your show. So like you said, you may ask them to come on and talk about, preparing yourself for marriage. And then it leads into something. It's like, you're just like, hey, everyone, this is why we're here. And all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, so when I was 2, this is what happened. And then yesterday I did this. It's something about your show that people just feel so comfortable. That's what it seems like. And they just want to like tell their story and share their insight. And you do a really great job in bringing that out.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad that you feel that way. And I'm glad that my guests have felt that way and been willing to actually share their stories, because honestly, you could heal someone else by your story. So if I even bring it all the way back personally, me, as a teen, I was suicidal, right? Mm-hmm. I was really suicidal. I would just cry for like weeks at a time. No one really knew. But I then grew up, I went to college, I got over that suicidal hump, but then I get to work and there's a kid in front of me, same age that I was, who's suicidal. Who had to talk him down? Who had been there before? So the transparency place conversation is for people to grow from our experience again, to get those tools, to get those resources, to shift your life. And it's not about you even coming to me as a coach, but I still want you to have these tools as an individual that can help you.
You gotta give me a minute, because that was really powerful. Like,
But it's
look at the
Think about it.
situation. That is powerful, and
Think
that's
you
life
listening
changing.
to someone else's story could really shift or shake your world. Somewhere it said like a wise woman learns from another woman's mistakes. Have you not learned from another woman's mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's what the transparency place is about. I want you to hear these stories. I want you to walk away like, oh wow, I could do that too. If they could do it, I could do it too. It doesn't have to look the same way that they did it, but to know that it's possible. And it's not when I don't want it to just be possible to go get this grand career. I want it to be possible that you are a healthy, whole individual. Because you can have a grand career, you can have all the money in the world and still be sick.
And what does that look like, even like a healthy whole person? Because, you know, like we were talking the other day about motherhood and how it's draining, and you know how you have to keep yourself whole and yourself full in order to even like do that job. So what does keeping yourself whole look like? And I told you, I have not been the best at self-care within the past year, I would say. So what does that even look like to somebody who's like, I want to be whole, I want to be this? Where do you even start with that?
There is an episode on the transparency place about that. But where do you start? What does a whole individual look like? It's going to be different for everyone. It's about trusting yourself. It's about being confident in who you are. It's about honoring yourself and your true feelings. If this doesn't sit well with me, I can't sit here. I can't be in this space because it's not comfortable for me. You're taking away from me. If you're not pouring into me, I can't. So me being able to recognize my true emotions and being able to respect, honor that, and speak on behalf of that and stand true in who I am, that's me being whole. That's me honoring myself. That's me showing up for myself. So where do you start with that? Get to know yourself. I should have a shirt that say, get to know yourself. Who better to know than yourself? Now, one thing about yourself is you're constantly growing. You're constantly adjusting. Every life situation is going to bring a shift to you, right? But it's okay. Learn through that, grow through that, take that knowledge and keep moving forward. But a lot of people don't know how to embrace that or embrace themselves. So I encourage people to embrace the chapters of life, the struggles that you go through. Take it, run with it. It's a lesson. India Arie taught me everything was a lesson because, you know, that's my auntie. I don't know if you know, that's my auntie.
She got some good songs. She got some deep, meaningful songs. So
I'm trying to tell you, she was part of the village.
You need to tweet her.
I think I did once upon a time ago, and I'm pretty sure she tweeted me back because that was my auntie, especially in college. I'm grown up now, so I ain't jocking her as much. But if anybody needs to know.
It's a compliment.
That's what it looks like. Like being able to honor and recognize yourself and know what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
And that also kind of ties into self-care as well, right? Like making sure that you take care of yourself, make sure that you, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, that you are just like in tune with yourself. What exactly is that?
Recognizing how you feel. And why do I feel this way? What's triggering this feeling? Okay, do I need to make sure I don't interact with you this way so that I don't have to feel that? Or, you know, is that me putting up a block, or do I need to learn how to interact with you so that I don't feel that feeling? Or is it just that I lack the confidence for you to put me in that type of uncomfortable situation? And that goes back to having a conversation with yourself. I recommend writing those things down. I felt this way on this day because X, Y, and Z happened. Now, how did I resolve that? Or how do I, again, avoid this feeling? Or is this feeling normal? Is this something I'm going to commonly feel? Is this going to be a repeat pattern? Did I like this? Do I want to feel that way? Did he give me butterflies or no? I question it. Dive into it. I'm big on that. Diving into it, dealing with it before it deals with you. Because a lot of when I talk to my clients, I'm like, so wait, where did that come from? And it goes back to childhood. I can't tell you how I really feel because this happened in my childhood, or this person shut me out every time I try to talk to them. It's a root there. Deal with the root.
Mm. That's look, we have to have a side conversation. I'm not even because everything that you're saying is so real and is so true. And I know that your show you're gonna take a break. It's going on hiatus for a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there are episodes, all the topics that we're talking about. Everyone can view them now on Realish Radio, Transparency Place. So what do we have to look forward to when you do come back for your hiatus? Are there any topics that you are just like, we have to talk about this? Are you writing a list and taking notes of everything you want to discuss?
So the list was already written before probably episode 3 of Transparency Place. I really want to talk about co-parenting. I want to talk about infertility. Those are the 2 big ones that are on my radar right now: co-parenting and infertility. And that infertility piece is such a sensitive topic, but I really want to encourage people on that and really talk about it. And a lot of us are blind to what's really our counterparts are going through. We don't really understand it, especially if you can give birth, you know? There are women who really want to give birth who can't, or is going through different emotions. And then at the other time, I want to embrace those people to know it's okay. If you, I believe that certain things will happen and work out in your favor. So that's those 2 right there are really big. I really want to create an environment where we can talk about healthy parenting boundaries, or seeing 2 parents in 2 different households still parent effectively for their child. Like, it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the kids. So I want to have that conversation. Those are really 2 big ones that are really pending right now. A lot of my conversations go off feel. What I'm led to do. So I might say this now, and I might not be able to have the conversation when I come back, because something may happen where it's like, no, they're not ready for that. Or you're not, or I'm not ready for that. It could be that
you have to take that on.
Yeah. So it took me a long time to get the male conversation to happen. I had to deal with my own emotions with that. Because how often do you really sit down and have a real conversation with 2 men? Not 1, but 2. They gonna jump me.
They were good. They were,
but it took a while to even identify who those 2 individuals would be that I know I could have a good conversation with, and who were mature enough to have the conversation. So I don't just go select anybody. Like, I'm strategic about who's gonna get on this conversation with me, or get in on this conversation with me. Because I won't, some people will get on here and probably shut down. So I have to be real careful, because I want the listeners to really benefit. I don't want to just sit here and talk in circles. And sometimes it might seem like we do, but I really have a point that I want to get to, even though sometimes I don't know where I'm going. I'm just asking questions, but I want you to walk away with something.
I have yet to see one of your shows that I don't walk away with a new thought or a new idea, or I want to comment on or something. And I just want to circle back to the topic of infertility, because Blayne J, who's our homegirl, our Realish Radio sister, she said some people don't want to have kids and are judged for it. So when we talk about infertility, I think it's a really great topic. I think you should do it. And also touch upon that there are some women who having a kid doesn't define you. It is a personal choice. But what happens if you want to have this kid and then you find out that you can't, versus, if you just are like, hey, I'm living my life and I just don't see myself being a mom. I think there's so much that you could do with that topic about either infertility or women who just don't want to have children. Like, it doesn't make you any different. You and I were talking last night, and I was like, you hear people say like, oh, I had a kid and now my life began and the world is so great. And I'm just like, why are you just finding yourself now because you had a kid? You should have known who you were before you had this child. And, like I said, like I had a great life before I had my daughter. I had a lot of fun. She has enhanced my life, but she hasn't come in and given it purpose. And now I know where to go and what to do. I knew what to do before, and now she's along for the ride. So, and I've made adjustments, of course, but it's important. And I think that's a really good point that Kalia made. And that's something that you could fit into that topic potentially as well.
Y'all got me. See, that topic I'm shaking thinking about it though, because it could get so emotional. Like, That's a piece right there. That is a piece. But again, it's a transparency place, and we want to talk about the common but uncomfortable situations, right? But yeah, so that was on the season 1 thing, and I just kept pushing it like, wait a minute, I'm not ready.
Well, you're going into season 2. So season 1 was taste, and season 1, like I said, every time I watch a show, for anyone on who's watched it, if you haven't watched it, you have to check it out, because there's no way that you can watch your show and not feel like you want to comment, you can't relate to it. Like, there's something for everybody with all your shows. So I think going and Kalisa, she was good about that. You need to be on 3 with us, because that was a good conversation about kids and about about motherhood, and about, we love these kids, but we love ourselves too. We love the people that we were before, and we're still trying to grow and learn and, become the women that we are supposed to.
There. I feel like parenting in a pandemic should have been a transparency place topic, because this is different.
Yeah. It's a whole different ball game with parenting in a pandemic. Just being in a pandemic within itself is like, I shared with Chris last night, and some people may or may not know this, but I was telling her, like, the past year was rough. It wasn't just, I've mentioned multiple times that, I lost my job last March, but I also ended my engagement. I also was like, we not doing this, and so I, in a matter of a week, like, lost my job, technically became a single mom because I ended my relationship and decided, like, we're going to separate. And so to deal with all of that at one time was so much. And then there was the pandemic. Then we had to shelter in place and do all that. So there was so much to deal with. And I feel like I just was like, all right, let's go. I got to get a job. I got to do this. I got to do. There's no time to stop. And then all of a sudden it catches up to you.
Yeah. This pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about that, but yeah, I get it. Those are great topics, and it's a great space to have those type of conversations.
Very much so.
And I on the show, I be telling people, like, go grab your notebook, because it's about to be good. Write that down. Save that for later. You need to write that down.
You said several things on here that I wish I had a piece of paper that I have a pen and no paper right by me that I could have written down from the time you said, what if you had no limits? I'm like, that was the word right there. I should have, like, taken that and written it down, because there's so much that you have said that is just so great. And that's why I want people to check out Transparency Place, the episodes that you have on there. It sounds like season 2 is going to be amazing. So do you hear the background?
It's okay. I understand. I'm a mom. I get it. Let's just say this. By season 2, I should be coming back with a book in my hand. That's my hope. That's my hope. That's why I had to stop. Let me come back with a book in my hand that you can go order.
So you'll be taking the time during the hiatus to write a book.
That's what I've been working on. So yes, that is my hope, that when I return, this will be completely done. That's what my hiatus is about. To focus all of this energy. And I've realized, because one thing, it's been hard, like I said, in this pandemic, my business grew during the pandemic. So allotting time for my business, my professional, and then my personal. And to me, this book is personal. I've done good with my self-care. Like, I'm intentional about making sure I go get my nails done at this point, going to get my facial, and just, I can't say sitting in silence, but I be trying to sit in silence in the car. But silence is very important to me, and the pandemic robbed me of that. But doing the Transparency Place showed me some time in my life. So Sundays is a great time for me to take care of what I need to take care of to grow more. So I was like, wait, I got to put this on hold. I gave a lot. And I think a lot that I've given right now, you have to sit in it. A lot of stuff you can't just take and keep adding more to it. I think a lot of the shows you have to sit in. You have to take what you can take, sit in it, try to practice. You might even have to come back and listen to a show again. So that's why I was like, okay, we can call this season 1, and I can focus on this. And then when I come back with season 2, I'll have something tangible for you to even go a little further in. When I sat down with my publisher, she was like, as a coach, what are people walking away with? What's your resource for them? And I'm like, I am their resource. She's like, no, you need to put something in their hand. So I'm creating something that you can put in your hand. So you'll have me in your hand. So that's what this hiatus is about. Yeah, you have
Mm-hmm.
this show. The show is filled with resources. It's filled with great conversation that you can learn from. So hopefully next season I'm going to come back. My whole season won't be about the book, but at least you can connect a little bit more with this book. And the book is about diving into yourself, diving into the good in you. And I want you to see yourself for who you are, show up for yourself, and how to treat yourself. That's what the book is about.
I
So
think
give
that
me,
sounds great.
yeah, give me a couple. Yeah, it should be done. It's me. Like I keep pushing the date back. So that's why I was like, I got to quit this to focus on that to get it done at
No,
this
we
point.
will let us know. We will drop the release date. Everybody in Realish will post about it. I think that's amazing. That's totally worth the hiatus, and it's only going to enhance all the shows that you have. So I want to tell everyone right now, when we get off of here, go on Realish Radio and look at Transparency Place, look at a couple episodes. You can also listen to them on most major digital streaming platforms. It's available. Like I said, I watch your show, I tune in, and I'm always just like, I restrain myself sometimes in the comments because I'm just like, I want to say so much, but then I don't want to put my stuff out there. So I'm just going to keep it okay. But you
And
really
if you're
have
a
something
listener
for
who
everyone.
feels like that, just inbox me. It's okay. I'm human. I talk back.
I'm gonna text you all my anonymous questions. You're gonna be like, so someone named Elaine has a question about.
When I get anonymous questions, I never say the name. I just say, we have a question. I got a question over here on the back end, and I drop it in there. So yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Just keep my stuff on the low. So I want to thank you so much, because there's you and I could be on here for another hour. I feel this way with some of my guests, not all my guests, but a lot of my guests. I'm like, we could just be here chopping it up for the whole freaking night. But I'm gonna stop here because you hear all the banging and stuff that's going on in the background, which means I have to go see what the heck is up and who ate and who didn't eat. But I wanna thank you so much, and I want you to just take this time to give a shout out, thank you, anything that you want before we kind of wrap up for the night.
Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to all the people who love on people. Shout out to my lovely family that's upstairs letting me do this. My husband and my 2 children.
And they're being quiet.
Yes. Shout out to all the guests that have been on the Transparency Place, because that takes a lot to share your story. So I am very proud. I am very thankful for those who have sat down and had conversations with me. It's been great. It's been fun. It's been note-taking for me. So I am thankful for those people. I'm thankful for you. Thanks, Blayne. I haven't, been interviewed since I was in college, I don't think. On this type of level, I kind of got a little nervous, right? I'm excited about everything, and I just, thanks people, I guess. Shout out to God.
Yes. Yes. And big shout out to you, because what you're doing is awesome. Deciding to take a part of your life and dedicate it to being a certified life coach to help other people when our lives are not perfect. We are still a work in progress. We are still trying to get our stuff together. And for you to kind of channel that energy to be like, I am now going to put that into helping someone to form the life that they want is amazing. So big shout out to you for doing that. And then for creating Transparency Place to now have yet another outlet for people to come on and tell their story and connect and, be as transparent and as real as possible. So big hugs to you and your family. Shout out to Rodney Hughes. I don't know if we said this. Rodney Hughes is Chris's brother. He produces the shows. He's the founder of the show. So big shout out to Rodney for being the plug between us, because I wouldn't have been connected with you. We don't need him anymore as the plug, because we have each other's, we contact each other when we need to, but big shout out to Rodney for at least being the plug in the beginning. And to Kalia J for tuning in. She's one of our sisters on here on Realish Radio. So big shout out to Kalia J as well. And to everybody who watches and listens, we thank you. Tune into Transparency Place. When they come back, you'll let us know when season 2 is dropping, right?
Mm-hmm. You will know.
Okay, so Chris will let us know. Follow Realish Radio on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Download the app. I'll have information on my page. Your Instagram is right there as well. If people want to connect with you for life coaching, or if they're interested in maybe being a guest on your show, if there's a topic that they're able to talk about, that would be great as well.
Awesome. Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Life Coach Kristian and on Facebook as Life Coach Kristian.
Great. That is great. So we are going to cut out now. Just stay on for a second because we do a quick talk back with your brother. And everybody else, we will see. Oh my gosh, it's going to be, today's Monday. So I feel like a lot of time is going to go by. I'll see everybody next week. Next week feels so, I normally do my shows on Thursday. Yeah. So I will see everybody sometime next week.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you.